This here is an eGPU dock from PELADN. So here's the dock here. You can see it actually came with a little door there. Under that door, take out a screw. Inside here we have an M.2 slot. Fantastic. You can increase your storage. Awesome. If you're hooking this up to a mini PC, mini PCs don't necessarily have a ton of storage. I mean, they can do okay, but by nature, they're small. So it's nice to have that. Because you're hooking this up over Thunderbolt 5 or USB 4 V2, whatever, 80 gigabit, that'll run nice and fast, even if you're running a GPU at the same time. Lots of bandwidth. Power CPU. That's where your GPU PCI is going to hook in. Just a nice, generally nice aesthetic. Soft material here, foamy type thing for your PSU to sit on. Very good. Rounded, looks nice. This side, please add washer. Oh, just don't screw up your thing. Ethernet port over here. Thunderbolt 5 to the PC and downstream. So basically, I have Thunderbolt 5 type enclosures. You can also use Thunderbolt 4. Of course, it's backwards compatible. But I can also hook up more, right? So this hooks into my PC. I have another Thunderbolt 5 enclosure here. I have lots of them, actually. So then I can have something like this, wherever I want it to be, and increase even more storage. So I get one in here, and I can run one into there. Or I can bolt up a multi-dock, right? A lot of times, whatever you're working with, a laptop, mini PC, whatever it is, you don't necessarily have multiple Thunderbolt 5 or multiple ports. So if you take up one of them with this, you're sacrificing a port. So it's nice to be able to expand it a little bit further. That's lovely. Nothing on the back, just nice little design there. Over here we have our power switch, USB-A, and that's fast as well, 10 gigabit. So 10 gigabit is actually quite fast. It would be, I don't even have an enclosure near me. This is an SSD that I use for gaming. This one's actually only 5 gigabit, so it's actually twice as fast as that. So that's nice. And then an SD card. So it's just really adding expansion and of course storage. Very nice. So that's going to work to, that'll sit on there. And this is a piece of metal. So it's going to take heat off of the NVMe into this metal here. And that's going to work as a heat sink, of course, help keep your NVMe cool. And then of course this is touching now here, like that's touching. So the whole thing is going to work as a heat sink. So it'll keep heat off of that. So that's good. Okay, so let's get this rolling now. I decided to go with a SFX power supply. Now this is a huge overkill power supply. It's 1,000 watts and it's an SFX. You do not need to use an SFX. You could use the one that I showed, the ATX, that'll be just fine. The only difference is when you get the ATX, I mean, obviously it's gonna be thicker that way, so it'll be bigger that way, and it'll be a little bit taller. It doesn't make a difference. I mean, technically ATX is gonna be a lot cheaper. It's gonna cost less money. It's gonna potentially even be quieter, and you can also get higher wattages. So, I mean, it makes a lot more sense to get an SFX power supply and to get a ATX power supply, not an SFX. However, I have this, and I'm not using it for anything else right now, at least temporarily right now. And the nice thing is it's short. So when I put the GPU on that I intend to use, which is this here. I mean, I have a few that I'm going to try. This is the one that I'm going to use for this video. It's a AMD 9070, and so that'll sit like that. So this will be nice and flush, whereas an ATX would sit up higher. So it'll just look clean. I mean, honestly, you are only powering technically a little bit into the motherboard, or whatever you want to call it, of this thing here. There's a board inside of there. So you're powering that with the motherboard here. And then this is a CPU one. So really all that you're doing here is you're supplying enough power to drive whatever GPU you have plugged in. So make sure you have enough for that. And then the little bit of an extra to drive the power delivery in that on these things here. So you can do power delivery to your laptop, 100 watts, I think it was. And so, I mean, you don't need as much as you might think. So if this was powering a big giant system, with a big CPU and all that kind of stuff, you might need, extra few hundred over whatever the GPU can use. So if you have a GPU that can do a certain amount of power, let's say a 300 watt GPU or something like that, you get yourself a 300 watt of this and it would be approximately fine. Usually you go a little bit over. So you can get yourself like a 500 watt. They're not expensive and it'll be totally fine, but you're also going to drive a little bit into this here. So I would recommend, generally speaking, getting a little bit more power 650 can do pretty much anything. You can probably do almost any GPU other than a 5090, and you'll have some left over for this here. I have some NVIDIA GPUs in that, but whatever. AMD's just doing a lot better right now, so we'll use them. And I do have some Intel stuff too I might try later. In this video, probably not, but I actually have a bunch of Intel GPUs over there, to be quite honest. I have a B580, B50, A770, B570, lots of Intel GPUs. But I'm going to be using AMD. The reason is because I'm also going to test this on SteamOS. And SteamOS has, Intel actually does work on SteamOS now, just so you know. And apparently fairly well. I've used it on the MSI Claw handheld, it works just fine. But it's not as smooth as AMD. AMD is just like, you plug it in and it just works. And there's better drivers because it's been running SteamOS for a long time. But it's not going to be too long until Intel gets good support, so just beware. NVIDIA runs quite poorly on SteamOS and Linux in general. It'll come along eventually. Valve is very focused on it, but for now, don't do it. So there you go. Look at that. See, it's nice clean. This SFX power supply is only a tiny bit. Like, what are we looking at there? 2 millimeters? Maybe 3? Yeah, maybe about 3 millimeters over. It looks quite nice. And, once I get these are recessed in here too, which is cool. The PCI. So that's recessed in there. These cords can actually come down. I'm going to tuck them out to the side in a minute. Get them all hidden. These will come up here. A little stronger. There you go, very nice. Yeah, so this is going to get its own air coming in there. Nothing in here, even with this. Like if you had an ATX, it would technically sit like that. So you may want to not have it touching the wall behind you, but just like an inch will be fine. Here, I have extra, like almost an inch, not quite, but almost an inch in there, like two centimeters almost. So that's great. Air will come out the back there. This will get air in from here, air in from here, and exhaust out here, and that's also a clearance. So there's going to be air coming out there. Air coming out there. There's no competition here, right? So front to back airflow through the GPU comes out the back here and exhausts. Nothing blocking this. It's nice and open. Very good. Of course, it's going to come in here and come out the top. That's also fine. This will be sucking air in from there and exhausting out the back. So there's absolutely no competition for air. That's intaking from there and that's intaking from there, right? From like that. And they're not competing with one another. Very clean. Very nice little setup. Honestly, it looks fantastic. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. How fire does that look there, right? Nice and clean little setup there. Got some SSDs and stuff over there, but whatever. Nice mini PC over here. Technically, I mean, it's up to you. You could put your mini PC there right beside it. I would actually, what I'm eventually going to do is I'm going to push that back, slide it under, move the monitor back over. But this is a showcase video, so obviously that's going to be dead front. It's part of the video, but it looks clean, right? So eventually it would be something like honestly just move it back and then go like that. And my monitor sits a little further out, so kind of like that. I mean, yeah, let's do that actually. It kind of looks cool. Yeah, it's just showing how the fact that I can just tuck away. Right? I could technically move it even further in, right? See that? I could have an open space under there. Very nice open space, something like that. Look at that, right? Nice and clean. Okay, well, all right. I was going to show you that. I guess I caught the beginning of it. So I just plugged it into the front of the mini PC over here. On the Thunderbolt 5, that's the Thunderbolt 5 mini PC. And it detected it right away. Let's push that back. And so, okay, there we go, DisplayPort. So this is, the mini PC is running off HDMI, that's running off DisplayPort, and there we go. So it did not have the drivers, it found them off the internet in like 1 second. It was just like, beep, and it found them. And then I just downloaded the AMD driver software, because this is an AMD driver, and I got that installed and got them updated, because Windows found them, but it found, several months old. That's fine. If you did NVIDIA, then you would bring the NVIDIA app in. So either AMD drivers or NVIDIA. RX 9070. RX 9070. Isn't that sweet? 16 gigabytes of VRAM. We're cooking. The next thing I'm going to test here is I plugged in a Thunderbolt 5 enclosure. Technically it's USB 4, 80 gigabit enclosure. Same idea. 80 gigabits, and I plugged that into the second port. So now we have Thunderbolt 5 USB 80 gigabit going into the mini PC, which is driving the GPU, which is doing the display. And this is an extra port. Remember, there's that extra port in the side there? So I could plug in this. I could also plug in, like a full-ass dock if I wanted, like this. Plug in an entire dock. I could plug in it's off camera, I can't get it. I have a Thunderbolt 5 4-bay NVMe enclosure. I could sit back there and it would run 4 NVMEs off the back there. Very fast, plug that in. But for me, it's more something like this that I'd be plugging in, to be honest, just to get extra storage in that fast. But anyways, let's run that. Yep, there we go. So 6,000. So if you have Thunderbolt 4 or USB 4, this will be running at about around 3,000, 3,100, whatever, close enough, right? Something like that. So this is massively faster. So not only are you able to drive the eGPU with very high speeds, Thunderbolt 5, and I mean, this proves that this computer is Thunderbolt 5 as well. Driving with Thunderbolt 5 speeds off of the GPU itself, lovely, very fast, awesome. Now I have a 9070 hooked up to my mini PC, but you can also hook up Thunderbolt 5 accessories because they don't give you a Thunderbolt 4 downstream and upstream, they give you a Thunderbolt 5 downstream and upstream. So you can basically link through the device and use your Thunderbolt 5. So I don't lose out on my Thunderbolt 5 port, I get another one. So one goes into the mini PC and is replaced by this as well. So that is fantastic. And that's the other thing I'm testing there. Look at that. The little SD card. That's a fast micro SD card. That's as fast as my micro SD card can go. I don't know. I've been finding a lot of times recently that micro SD card readers, like, I don't know, from like lots of different brands, they're like, yeah, it runs at this speed, and then it doesn't. It maxes at like 80 megabytes a second or 100 if you're lucky. This is actually running at the full speed of my micro SD card. So the micro SD card in the side, there's the micro SD card. Right there, you can see it. It's running as fast as my micro SD card can possibly go. So that's lovely. They're not lying. It's very fast. So that's great, right? Again, if you hook this thing up for gaming purposes, that's really lovely. Obviously, you could run some basic stuff of that, but really it's for, you know, the camera. Like this camera that I'm using right here has a micro SD card. Plug in the SD card adapter, plug it in there, and, you know, take my files right off of that. There's no need. This mini PC, it's off camera, doesn't have an SD card or a micro SD card at all. So to put things off of this camera when I'm done, which I do, I have to get an adapter, which I have, and plug it in. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do that. You know, there's the little internal Gen 4 drive in there. See how fast this can go. Let's see what the internal drive can do here. The internal drive, I don't know how fast it'll go. We'll see here. It may not be Thunderbolt 5. We'll see. Let's see how fast that can go. It's 10 gigabit. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. So the micro SD card in the side there is very fast. It's at least 160 megabytes, as fast as my card can physically go. That's fine. We have a 5 gigabit port, a USB-A, so this is great. 5 gigabit USB-A. This is a game drive, SATA. On the side over there, we can hook up another Thunderbolt 5 to downstream, and then we also have the internal one for 1,000 megabytes a second. This is a tool, I almost forgot to do this. It's a tool by Procrastinito, who actually found me on Reddit on one of my eGPU reviews, and he made this tool, he or she made this tool where you can go in here and you can test bandwidth. So when you load it up, it's just a GitHub basic exe, load it up and it asks you which one do you want to do. So I have a 5060 inside of this mini PC. I'm going to do the 9070, obviously 17 gigabytes read. That's weird. So we're going to do that, obviously. And now we're going to test it. So it's going to test out the transfer rates. It's going to test out that. And of course, I'm going over Thunderbolt 5. We're going to see how it runs. It's just right here in front. I almost forgot to do this test, so that would have been bad. So as you can see there, 5 gigabytes per second. There we go, it's doing some stuff. So we can see the tests there, you know, the real world latency. And this one here, we're getting around 6 for one-way CPU to GPU, GPU to CPU 5. So between 5 and 6 is the bandwidth here. Okay, so here we go. I'll just run around for a minute. So this is the brand new remake of the re-release, I guess I'd say a remaster, of Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. It's very hard to say that name. I mean, it looks incredible. Here we're on 4K high, which is crazy. It's obviously very impressive. We'll test another game as well, but just get an idea what we get here. I mean, we're not getting 100 FPS, but we're getting 50 FPS at 4K high. And I mean, it's a 97. It's not a 5090. And look how incredible it looks. This is, I mean, we couldn't even do with this iGPU, like a 285HX. we couldn't even play this game at all. Like we would be at like 10, like 100p, like literally 110, 120p. We could not even play this game at 720p. There's no way. Not even on low, not even with scaling. There's no way. It is so far beyond this iGPU. And here all of a sudden we're running amazing, right? We're running amazing. So that's that there. Again, this is a 9070. It's not really a 4K GPU, but it is kind of a 4K GPU. 1440p would probably be a little better. We'll test that as well and just kind of look for some bottlenecks and that kind of. Just kind of see what we can get here. 1440p. Yeah, obviously now we're well over 60 at 1440p on high. I did watch the just destroyed that, the digital foundry of this game, and they were like, you should turn down some. They told us like what turn up, turn down. Some stuff leave it on high, some put on medium, some stuff even low, and it like the performance skyrocketed, and it looked basically the same. But I mean, this is not a test of the GPU. This is a test of does the PELADN dock work? And yeah, I mean, it works exactly as it's supposed to work. Right, fantastic. And yeah, just a reminder. This is a oops. This is a come down here. Just a reminder. This is a Thunderbolt 5 device. We'll come over here. You can use it on Thunderbolt 4, and we will. This device doesn't have Thunderbolt 4. It only has Thunderbolt 5. And it's this one here, Thunderbolt 5. So we have a Thunderbolt 5 controller here. We have two of them actually. So that's a Thunderbolt 5. It doesn't actually save it. Anyways, this is a Thunderbolt 5 device, which means we're going to be getting essentially peak performance. I guess Oculink technically is a very tiny bit faster, but it's like so marginal, it doesn't really matter. And Oculink, you know, you have to have an Oculink port for one thing. It's not backwards compatible because there is no backwards compatible Oculink. It either has it or does not. And you have to turn off your computer when you plug it in and turn off your computer when you unplug it. Whereas this, you can just, I mean, I could literally just yoink this out of the computer. It wouldn't crash. The game would crash because it would be like, what did you just do? But the computer would just be like, yeah, don't do that. But you can also just hard eject it or soft eject it. So you can come down here. You can click over, you can click over here and you can see in the corner here, if you're using NVIDIA, it'll pop up in the NVIDIA. It won't be an NVIDIA app. It'll be a little NVIDIA icon down here. You can do that. When it's AMD, which we're using here, you come over here and you can see it's telling us all these things. And I could eject it. You don't want to do it in the middle of a game, obviously, but I could turn off the game and eject it and it would just kill off the GPU. And I would go back to the integrated graphics. It's so that it is that easy. Yes, it is literally that easy. So that's that. Okay, let's test one more game and then we're going to flip over to a Thunderbolt. We'll test one more game and then we will maybe go over to a Thunderbolt 4 device or USB 4. All right, so how about a handheld? Now this is not a Windows handheld, this is a Steam-based handheld. And yes, it'll work. So we'll come in here, we'll plug it in. So this is a Legion Go S Steam edition, obviously, because it's running SteamOS. Nowadays, Steam, I mean, it kind of runs on everything, so you should probably do it. Go like this, you go authorize now. So Thunderbolt 5, we're going to go authorize. It's telling us what do we want to do. We want to play on the internal screen or external. It's your choice. If you want to do that, so we're going to go switch to external screen over there. Now the only negative is I don't have touchscreen anymore like that. So you want to have a keyboard or something like that, or USB keyboard or a Bluetooth keyboard or something like that. That's the only negative, really. If you output to an external screen, you actually get less of an impact. So Thunderbolt 5 is kind of fine actually going into the internal screen or externally, but there just aren't any Thunderbolt 5 handhelds right now. So we're working with USB 4 on this handheld, but that's okay. Even with that, the USB 4, even going like that, is going back out to the external display out here. And even with that, it's still going to give us a huge performance boost nonetheless. You lose, it's hard to say, 20 to 30% or so of the raw performance of this 9070 going to an external screen, sometimes less, it depends. If you go back to the internal screen, you actually lose more because then the signal is kind of going back and forth. It's bouncing back into the handheld, back out of the handheld, into the handheld, back out of the handheld, and then back into that screen. Here it's a little different because it's actually going into the handheld, into the GPU, into this screen, not back into the screen there. So it works a little better this way. So we'll come in here and we can play, I mean, we can play directly from here if we wanted. We can also just go into game mode, it'll work there once you authorize it, right? And it is working, obviously, right? Like, for the purpose of this video, we're not going to output to the external because that would just be the same as running a USB 4 or a Thunderbolt 4 laptop, and we all know what that can do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to plug this in here, though. I've already done this, but before I just restarted it. Of course, we're going to authorize. We can authorize it permanently. That's what we want to do there. It's going to try to output to the external screen. We want it to go to the internal screen though. Oculink was cool, but I think it's fading, especially because Oculink to a handheld is a massive pain in the ass. It's not an issue with a mini PC, to be honest, because the mini PC is not moving, but it is a pretty big, massive pain in the ass, to be honest, for laptops. And yes, there are laptops with Oculink, and it's a huge pain in the ass for handhelds because you have an Oculink cable here. You can't hot swap it, hot plug it. They're a little sensitive to being moved around. With USB, it's not that much of an issue. Also, if you kick it out, it's not going to crash the system. It'll just, the GPU will disconnect, right? So, back. So now we are at high. We could probably just crank it like it's 1200p, even with the bandwidth limitations and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a 9070. So I could probably put it up to like max with ray tracing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, look at that. So this is high, native, right? And we went from, we're at 50-ish FPS. Again, if this GPU was hooked up to like Thunderbolt 5 over there, right? We were getting the same on 4K with a little bit of scaling, but 4K, we were getting around 50 as well. Now we're at 1200p and we're getting, 50. So yeah, it's not giving us the full performance of the GPU, obviously, right? We're at 1200p instead of 4K, so it should be a lot easier to run, which it is. But we do have a bandwidth limitation now. So now we're limited by, the eGPU is limited by this Thunderbolt 4, because this is a Thunderbolt 5 eGPU, Thunderbolt 5 cable, but this handheld's only USB 4, Thunderbolt 4. However, we're still getting 50 FPS native 1200p on high, right? This handheld, you're putting at 1200p low, not even low, handheld low, with scaling to get 50 FPS. Here we are, no scaling, and we're on high. It looks incredible. Like, it looks so good, obviously, on this handheld. This is a nice screen on this handheld. It looks so good. Let's bring it up a little closer. It looks incredible. And again, I don't have to play on the handheld. Like, if I'm at the computer anyways, I could just put this down and export it to the external screen, right? But I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I want to put on the handheld, just to show you that even with the performance loss that you get on a handheld, because there is one, based on the fact that this is USB 4, it's still going to run incredible. Now, down the road, I don't think it's going to be that long. Maybe next year. I think there might be Thunderbolt 5, because things are so expensive right now, right? Things are very expensive, especially RAM, memory, storage. So unfortunately, we're dealing with that. So I think to get people to be interested in devices, they have to innovate. And what they're going to innovate with is they're going to start putting through Thunderbolt 5 and USB 80 gigabit on handhelds. Honestly, I think they're going to do it next year, 2027. I think we'll see a bunch of them, because then you don't have that performance penalty of coming back to the internal screen. This thing will just fly. Like, you'll get a 40 or 50% performance bump. Seriously, like, we already know these numbers. This is not rocket science. This is already established science. So you'd be getting 100, 120 FPS here, rather than 50. I mean, this is still very good, but yeah, why not give me 100? So I think that's the next step, and that's what's going to come. So, you buy a dock like this, you buy a dock like this, and you're forward thinking, right? That's the thing, you're forward thinking. You're not just getting the GPU, USB 4 that you'll be getting with a lot of the other brands out there. You're getting Thunderbolt 5, which you can use now with USB 4 if you have that, or if you're as cool as me, you have USB 5, Thunderbolt 5 anyways, so I get the full performance now. But even if I hook it up to my handheld rather than my mini PC, I'm still getting that as well. And if you don't have a Thunderbolt 5, that's okay. You still use it now with your USB 4 type device, your 40 gigabit device now, and then next year, maybe you retire that handheld, you retire your laptop, your mini PC, and you move up to a Thunderbolt 5 device. That's okay, because you already have this. You didn't buy a USB 4 dock and then a year later you throw it in the garbage and buy a USB 5, Thunderbolt 5. You already have the dock.